Is VGK lacking urgency with just 10 games remaining in the regular season? We'll talk about that. We'll kick it around on this episode of Locked On Golden Knights.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, of course, and make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com and hit the promo code Locked On, and right now, new customers can win $200, up to $200 in bonus bets if your $5 bet wins. Well, that was really choppy there, Mr. Golick. Okay.
Yeah, I got it on the screen. I was happy. I got the graphic at the right time. It's been a minute since I was able to time that right.
Very good. Well, I didn't have good cadence there. So Bruce Cassidy keeps telling us that there are very strong pockets of play for VGK. Does he believe that the Golden Knights are really close to being themselves, or does he try to convince the players, his team, that they are playing well? Mind games, perhaps, who knows? Furthermore, injuries aside for the VGK, are they really playing well? Are they playing with emotion? Are they playing with urgency? So I've seen teams that believe that they could turn it off and on whenever they like. Is that the case with VGK? It could be right now, but I don't see a sense of urgency personally. If so, the bleeding would stop with these third period meltdowns. Where's the urgency? Is it there?
Early in the season, I felt it was there. You look at like the Avalanche game back on November the 4th. They beat them, 6-7-0, whatever the score was. There's the Dallas Stars both times that month when they played him. Or they played him in November, and then they played him again shortly thereafter in December, or the other way around. There's two games kind of close together against the Dallas Stars where the Golden Knights seemed to turn it on. You go back to the game where Adin Hill first got injured against the Vancouver Canucks. I thought that at the time was their best statement victory of the season. You had the back-to-back games against the St. Louis Blues in December, where the Golden Knights lost at home, and then they went on the road and they beat them pretty good. So to answer your question, the Golden Knights, I think, do have, or at least had, maybe in past tense, the ability to turn it on and off when needed. It's a veteran group. We've heard this a million times. They know what it takes to win. We all witnessed that, obviously, last June. But something isn't clicking now, and urgency goes a couple ways. Yes, the start against Nashville Preds was very nice. That was an urgent start to that game. But urgency for me, I define it a little bit differently. We've talked about this a couple of times on the show. I just find it so odd that we're talking still today about wild card 2, the Golden Knights. That's their current position in the standings. They're in the playoffs by 6 points right now. So, I mean, that pretty much has them, I think, all the different money puck, all that stuff. They're like in the 90 percentile to qualify for the playoffs, but it doesn't feel like we're watching an 8th place team. I don't mean from a skill perspective. I mean from the post-game interviews. I mean from the player reactions. And I don't want to use the word entitlement because that was something that you and I talked about offline maybe, but it almost feels like they assume they're in the playoffs and there's no problem there. And then once the playoffs come, all their problems go away. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. How much does VGK miss the leadership of Mark Stone at this time of year? How much do they miss him?
I'll parlay that with Alex Pietrangelo and his illness right now too. I mean, you have Mark Stone. Yes, Marchessault has been the leader even when Mark Stone was around, but still, Mark Stone is the man. He's the guy. He's the captain. He's the one when he commands the room, everyone shuts up and listens to what he has to say. And there's other players too, but Mark Stone's the captain. He is the emotional leader on the bench, in the locker room, in practice, and anywhere in between. And I'm assuming he's been around the team during all this. I have to assume that. So I'm sure he's still doing what he can from a vocal perspective. He can't get on the ice, obviously, and that's going to be a while until that happens. But it's a circumstance, not an excuse without Mark Stone. I get that. And Pietrangelo, I mean, you can certainly point to some of the recent third period issues to Pietrangelo not being out there in those stressful moments, but this has been a problem when he was not injured as well, too. So
would tend to go VGK. It's akin to a 3-game lead, right? Basically, if this were baseball, 6 points.
They're a losing streak away from not being in the playoffs. Look at it like that. They're a losing streak away from missing the playoffs.
Absolutely. Didn't Cassidy say we're not playing well enough to win, right? Just a couple of weeks ago. And then I go back to that Columbus game on the road, right? Isn't that when he said VGK doesn't want it? They don't want it.
He said it. The players have said it. And,
look in
there's
the mirror,
coach
man.
speak. And what's that?
Look in the mirror, bro.
Yeah, no, there's coach speak and there's narratives, and it's kind of funny when things are going bad, all the different narratives that come out. This isn't a Golden Knights issue. We're not just dogging the Golden Knights for it. This is any franchise when they're right around the bubble or not doing well, all the different cliches come out. And, as rough as this season has been, imagine being a Sabres fan who I think it's going to be 14 or 15 or 13 years without the playoffs. But hey, they won the Jack Eichel trade, so they got a great future in front of them. So imagine the narratives that are coming, that come flying out of that city right about this time every year when it's a foregone conclusion they won't be participating in the playoffs. So as bad as it is, it could be Buffalo, it could be San Jose, it could be a lot of other things. But, it doesn't stop me from being annoyed by cliches, and I think they're garbage, and I'm tired of them. And we're talking about the reigning Stanley Cup champions, and they're pretty healthy at this juncture, even minus Stone and Pietrangelo. William Carrier's in out of the lineup, but that's not going to necessarily move the needle like some of the other players and stuff. But third period collapses and things like that, I don't blame on injuries. I don't blame on stuff like that. I was just going to say you can point to all these little things happening out there, from losing those puck battles, from Marchessault getting beat at the opposite blue line, which does happen quite frequently, unfortunately for him, but he makes it up with his goal scoring and stuff. You can say the same thing about Shea Theodore, who's lighting it up right now as far as statistics go. But then when you watch him sometimes, what was it? The Monday game this week where he didn't have a stick down and someone just beat him to the puck and scored? The Blues game, Brandon Saad, the Blues game.
Yeah,
so you watch all these different things that are happening right now, and these are the things that the Golden Knights did very well in the playoffs. They made their layups. They took what was given to them, more narratives, and they just shut teams down. I get that there's 10 games to figure this thing out right now, and tonight's actually a pretty important day for the Golden Knights. It's must win because you have the Kings and the Oilers playing each other tonight. As long as that game doesn't go to overtime and the Golden Knights find a path to 2 points, that puts them in an interesting spot with 9 games to go as far as climbing up the Pacific Division standings. So it starts against Winnipeg, tough place to play, even given their attendance issues. I'm sure they'll have close to a full house tonight with Vegas there, and see if they can get their poop together in the third periods.
It'll be interesting to see how they come out there. And they did come out inspired the other night when they got out to that jump and they had a 3-goal lead, but nothing is safe.
A lot of urgency.
Again, third period urgency. I'm just curious what goes on in the locker room before period 3, because they know that they're faltering. And again, you can blame that one on fatigue. Okay, enough said. But earlier, when
they're a well-conditioned team, Tony. They're a well-conditioned team.
He did say that too. So I don't know what to believe out of Cassidy of late. I think he's just searching for answers himself and trying 100%. To find those right combinations. He's still struggling finding combinations. And of course, chemistry could also be another issue for this VGK team. They do, I think, get inspired by playing against legit contending teams. Sometimes they do play down to their competition, I think.
Little Chris talks about that all the time on our Saturday show. He all the time points out the Golden Knights play down to the competition.
Very interesting. Him and I, man, we're Goombas now. Yeah, out of position, of course. Defensively, we've seen so much of that, poor puck management. But the one thing that would get them over this hump or hurdle, if you will, would be if they play inspired. It would be if they play with some emotion and, of course, a sense of urgency. That's where we started, right?
If they
Wow.
played like the 8th seed in the Western Conference, I think there would be a lot of urgency, but I really think they feel that it's I don't know, I was thinking maybe a dumb cliche, but I'll fire another one. People who when New Year's comes up, right? Follow me here. Follow me, people. We're gonna go on a little ride here. When New Year's Eve comes up, let's say you've had a rough year or whatever, and you kind of shut things down for November and December because New Year's Day is coming and all your problems go away when New Year's Day comes. Maybe that's what the Golden Knights are feeling right now. Maybe once the playoffs start, they just feel their experience being the reigning Stanley Cup champs. It's a new season, and they're all going to elevate their game, including the coaching staff and the goaltending, and it's all going to go away and get better. And honest to God, it could. Like, it definitely might. So we'll see.
Coming up next,
No, U2
Winnipeg.
reference, New Year's Day. You like that? I didn't think about that.
I
It's a
like
U2
that. That's
reference.
good. I know. We're past that, though, bro. Okay, coming up next, the game tonight will be in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Tonight's site. We'll have a preview of the Golden Knights and the Winnipeg
Got you
Jets
frazzled.
right after this on Locked On Golden Knights.
FanDuel. There it is.
Whether you are betting on a big upset or a number one seed, it's time to go dancing and continue your dance on America's number one sports book. Right now, new customers at FanDuel get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200. And you can use it on point specials, on money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, and you can bet on college hoops right until they cut down the nets. We're headed to the Final Four after this weekend. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. I think there was yesterday in the news, there was some knucklehead legislator that wants to do away with these player props for college athletes, for professional athletes. I'm wondering if that's ever going to happen. They're like, you need to put a stop to this now, because there was one player in the NBA in Toronto who was more or less betting against himself there with his player props, and they caught him. But that's real interesting to see. Do you think they can do away with individual player props? Can that happen right now? Because right now, sports betting owns the world, owns every one of these leagues. It even owns the fog that's rolling in.
I just saw that the fog was minus 350 to come at this window, and Tony made sure to get it at the right time. I think you can't have A without B. I think if you're going to eliminate player props, you eliminate sports betting, because it all comes together. I mean, a group of players, it has happened before. There's documented incidents, and there's people now really looking at this Ohtani situation, right? Where there was supposedly, and I don't know how this information even got out, but supposedly a 7-figure bet was made with wherever that has ties to his whatever all this nonsense is. And Ohtani went out there and got shelled that game and went 0-for-3 at the plate. So, you wonder about stuff like that. And Ohtani's put himself in this, well, I don't know, I shouldn't say that. Although if Pete Rose had an interpreter, he'd probably be in the Hall of Fame by now. So we'll see if something like that ever comes to fruition. I mean, at the college level, I can maybe bear to listen a little bit to the prop side, because their compensation, they get something now in college, don't they? It's like very
image, and likeness, nil. They get money for
still?
No, they get money for name, image, and likeness.
Okay, I got you. So they're getting something now, at least.
Correct.
At that level,
yeah.
where
Some of them are getting a lot of
ago.
A lot of something now. Some of them are
okay. So that's good.
A lot of loot.
You would think those are the players who don't necessarily wouldn't go down that path, versus the players who are, the sixth man in or something. I don't know. I mean, I'd listen, but I don't think you can. You're blaming the wrong person. I think if you're going to eliminate something, you eliminate sports betting altogether at that level. and that's never going to happen. So it's just we'll see.
2 streaks for the Winnipeg Jets, of course, that they would like to break this evening. They would, number one, like to break a 4-game losing streak overall. They would like to break a 5-game losing streak to the VGK. Golden Knights have already beaten Winnipeg twice this season, 5-2 and 5-3. And so I was perusing this morning, Mr. Golick, the Winnipeg Sun. You like that, huh? So Rick Bowness says for 34 games between November 4th and January 20th, the Jets bought in. They won 20 of them. Interesting quote. He says, now it's hard to get that commitment. Defense is hard work.
They don't want it, Tony. They just don't want it. They don't want it.
Who's this sound like? A little bit like VGK. Defense is hard work and sacrifice.
That's all it is.
And it's every night and it's every shift. It's slipped a little bit probably over the last 6 weeks. Coaches can see slips, according to the writer of this article, even in 6-0 Anaheim and 6-1 romps against Columbus. After back-to-back games like that, guess what sets in, at least for some of the players? Complacency. We haven't done anything yet, so that's part of the message as well. And the other teams are desperate. Yeah, well, so are we. So we have to play that way. I don't see an X by our name. Well, that's a good article right there.
So there you go, right there, and kudos to that writer getting those quotes and those sound bites.
Give him a shout out. I've got to get a shout out. Who wrote this stinking article? Paul Friesen, man, good work there, bro.
Yeah, no, that's a good article right there, and obviously that's an example of good reporting in a good hockey market. Tony's trying to get the fog out of there.
I don't know.
So I mean, you mentioned the part about the urgency right there and being desperate and stuff. That's the stuff that I want to hear in the Golden Knights locker room right now. I mean, you're talking about the Winnipeg Jets right now, who have been flirting with the NHL's best record for a long time. They've slipped a little bit down to 94 points in the Central. They're 5 points away from the leading Dallas Stars. And I guess the Winnipeg Jets are climbing up there, the Nashville Predators are climbing up there. So the Jets definitely are slipping a little bit. So that's the thing. I mean, the Jets are comfortably in the playoffs. They're not going to not make the playoffs. And they're a Stanley Cup contender. And their coach is talking about playing desperate hockey. That's exactly what I need to hear right now as someone who follows, watches, and fans this Vegas Golden Knights team right there. That's what I need to hear. And I'm not hearing it. And I'm not necessarily sold it's the bad thing that I'm not hearing it. Maybe I'm in the minority here. But that's the right mindset coming into the last 10 games, because they're going to be ready when the playoffs come and those playoff lights go on. And remember, the Jets last year, they beat the Golden Knights. They had Golden Knight fans filled with doubt after that first game. It was what? A 4-1, 5-1, 5-2. It was not even a close game. End of story. It was a terrible game by the Golden Knights. And then obviously Golden Knights rattle off a four-game winning streak, knock them out, win the Stanley Cup, and the rest is history. But the Jets definitely are going to have the right mindset coming into the playoffs, and I don't know if the Golden Knights do.
Yeah, I don't see an X by VGK's name, though, either, right, at this point. That's such a good point. Should I do that,
Tony? Should I put like some of the other like fans and teams? They put like the team, they put like their team record next, like let's say Lockdown Golden Knights, and then it'll say what the team's record is, and once they get the X, we can put that up there too. Because that can we really just put
no X? Let's just put no X up there.
I like that, actually. I like that. That's better.
The Jets overcoming a 2-goal deficit in the third period the other night on Tuesday night. They forced overtime and they fell to Edmonton, and they lost in the extra period. Something that stood out for this Winnipeg Jets team over the 4-game losing streak: 0 for 12 on the power play, 0 for 5 versus Edmonton on the power play. So that's something that they need to get right there. I think we're going to see this pain in the butt again tonight in Tyler Toffoli. And then I guess
crushes the Golden Knights. He
just kills them, right? I know. So
going back to that Vancouver series in the bubble, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Going back to player props tonight, over a half a goal.
There you go.
Sorry, man. We got to bring it full circle here.
No, that's good. That's good.
We don't know if it's going to be Hellebuck or he's a backup that's going to be playing in that.
Got to be Hellebuck since they played Edmonton, but earlier in the week
he's struggling. He's struggling of late. Hellebuck.
Well, either way.
Well, of course, you lose 4 straight, but we could see Brossois maybe tonight too. Who knows?
Well, in the Golden Knights, like you said earlier, they've put up 5 spots twice against them this season too. So against a very good defensive team, that says something. And one thing that's just worth bringing up here is what's up with Winnipeg not supporting this team right now. There's concerns about their attendance and stuff. Like I'm looking at a lot of like 13, and I think capacity is like between 15 and 16 for that arena, if I'm not mistaken. It's a small arena. Jets are a good team and a good hockey market, and they're a Stanley Cup contender, and they're not selling that barn out every night. So what's up with the business side of that team right now?
What's up with you calling it a barn again? Slipping that into the show today.
That's a
That
barn.
was our
That's a
key
barn.
word
That's a
of the
barn.
day, by the way.
Barn?
Barn, yeah.
Who was doing it? Who was tracking our word of the day for a while? Remember that?
No.
We had someone tracking our shows, and they would just say, and the word, it was more, I think it was something I would say a lot, but it was our word of the day. So should we go with word of the day, barn?
Barn. Just tweet that out or post that, of course, on the YouTube channel. We'd appreciate that. Coming up next, we have our locks and predictions for tonight's game in Winnipeg, in the Peg, if you will. We'll do that when we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. For a championship team, it's all about making sure that every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part really fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to my garage and look for the green check mark, and you will know that the part will fit, or you will get your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time at all. And after all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices. Whoa, the little guy's in the house there, little big guy. The right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. We are back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick, and little big Chris Golick Jr. We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. And thanks so much. And of course, tomorrow already is WTF, What the Friday. Saturday, these two gentlemen on the screen right now, Chris and little Chris, have their own show on YouTube. It's a YouTube exclusive.
Look at that pride right there. Look at that smile. That was good. That was good.
That was good. Shut up, Tony.
Chris, you're blocking the William Karlsson poster.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. You're the man. Okay, let's do predictions. Let's get little Chris. You got to go to school today. So, yeah, did we get him in first? Let's go.
All right, Chris, what do you got, buddy? They're playing the Jets tonight. Get close.
Despite how Winnipeg's been playing in their goalie, at least earlier in the season, I have to say 5-3 Winnipeg.
5-3 Jets. Okay. Which two players for the Golden Knights?
Eichel and Hanifin.
Eichel and Hanifin.
Wow.
You don't think the Golden Knights can get back on it tonight, Chris? You don't have faith?
No, me neither. And guess what?
What?
I have 5-3 Winnipeg too on my sheet.
Wow. All right, Chris, here's sub prediction. This is important right now. Oilers and Kings are playing tonight. Who wins that game? Get close. Close.
Probably Edmonton.
Regulation or overtime?
Probably like 6-1 regulation.
6. Wow. Chris is going 6-1 Edmonton over the Kings. So Chris, on our show on Saturday, really fast, we were talking about Stanley Cup predictions. Chris picked Edmonton in November. Late November is one of the first episodes of our show. And I was like, dude, you're crazy. They were like 4-11 at the time or something like that. And Chris tripled down on his prediction in our last Saturday show. So he might not be wrong the way they're playing. We'll see.
Thanks, little Chris. I got 5-3 Winnipeg. I've got Dorofeyev and Amadio. So, yeah, 5 is a magic number because VGK won 5-2, 5-3. So check this out, though, real fast before you
You
get
said
into
Vegas,
a
right, Tony? You're on Vegas tonight?
No,
You're on
I'm on
Winnipeg?
Winnipeg.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm glad I asked.
5-3 Winnipeg, but the number 5 is really big. So remaining games here, 10 of them. Some teams they play twice. Okay, the remaining. What is this? Okay, so the record for the remaining 10 teams at this point combined 284, 240, and 46.
For
284.
who the Golden Knights are playing?
Yeah, those are the
That's a
remaining
tough.
records.
The Golden Knights have one of the tougher remaining schedules, obviously minus the games against Chicago and Anaheim, and Minnesota could fall out of contention by then, so that game could change. Golden Knights in Arizona next week. That game probably should go well.
That's right.
Before you cancel me, I'm doing my locks, Tony. I'm doing my locks right now.
No. I wasn't about to cancel you. I'm waiting here.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So Marchessault and Eichel, I think Marchessault has been a little quiet. He went a game without getting a goal, so I think that'll definitely piss him off a little bit. And Eichel just seems right around everything right now. So let's go with Eichel to lead. And I'm gonna go 6-2 Vegas tonight. I know I feel like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid right now, but I'm just waiting to see this Golden Knights. It's going to be tough to get the Stanley Cup form without Mark Stone and whenever Hertl comes into the lineup, but a shadow of its former self. And we still have yet to see that for a consistent stretch. And I believe the players are there. I think their players are there. So let's see if they can go to a tough barn, and have urgency, another buzzword right there, and get the first goal. And Logan's been playing really well too. Logan Thompson. We went 26 minutes without even saying anything about Logan Thompson. That's going to hurt our numbers, but that's okay. So there we go. 6-2 Vegas, Marchessault and Eichel.
I think this is a must-win game for
it is because
thanks for keeping that on the slate.
It is because if LA and Edmonton don't go to overtime and Vegas gets 2 points, however they get it, that's huge. This is a big game. It is actually a really big game tonight.
In October next season, must-win games. We got to just kind of sneak that in there too.
But it can't be like the opener. It has to be like game 4 against the Sharks or something.
Yes, absolutely. Against the Sharks anytime. Those 2 games at the end of the stretch, must win. Just a note to pass along. So I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but this could impact or affect the VGK. They moved the start of the NHL playoffs from April 22nd to the 20th. Now, that's interesting because it appears right now that VGK, at least for the moment, will have the start of a series on the road, right? They're going to be on the road. So their final game is on the 18th against the Ducks, and the first game of the playoffs will be on the 20th. And if they don't get their stuff together here, or even if they do, I'm not quite sure how it will shake out. But right now, it appears as though VGK will be playing away from the Fortress the first game, and those 2 days rest in the NHL, that's a world of difference, right? And they're just going to have to jump into it. So they play against the Ducks on the 18th. 19th will be a travel day. 20th, they're playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I mean, we're talking about a team with its captain with an undetermined return date as of now, as he recovers from his severed spleen. Up the Golden Knights, I'm sure, have an idea when he'll be ready. Hertl is skating on his own. I still think Tuesday is the day for Hertl. We'll see. I really strongly think Tuesday is going to be the day for Hertl. We'll see if that works out or not. Although with him not being on the road, because the Golden Knights, let's see here. The Golden Knights will travel back to Vegas. Probably. Is it a day game on Saturday? So it's a day game on Saturday. So they'll probably travel right back to Vegas. They're not going to practice that Sunday. I don't think so. But they'll have a regular practice day on Monday the 1st.
Are the Golden Knights at home, day off, again, in Las Vegas? Are you kidding me? This is so stinking rigged. How do they get every single stinking holiday off and here in Vegas?
Oh, well, I guess you kind of make.
Oh, it's WTF.
Shut up, Chris.
Wrong one.
Shut up, Tony.
Whoa, wrong one. Wrong button.
Wrong shut up.
Mayday. What was that?
That was for the Saturday show. I had Allie sneak a video, and I didn't tell Chris. And
I like the camo.
Chris said something. I just fired it in there.
She's got the camo on too. She's not as mad as she was when she did mine, when she recorded mine, but that's good.
Yeah, I mentioned your name and people just automatically like they get this frown on their face and their eyes kind of like squint like that. They get a little it's
Like
weird. I don't know
more
why.
more fans. We
More
appreciate
clicks,
everyone.
more clicks. Watch the ads, people. Watch the ads. Don't skip them. I need the money.
Wait for it. I think we're better at the end of the show today. We've got a good closing kick, if you will. Of course, tomorrow is
Derby's pretty soon. A couple weeks, right?
In May. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you so much. WTF is tomorrow. Get those cards and letters coming there, and leave the comments, of course, on our Twitter handle. Those are always great, and on YouTube. And don't forget, Saturday mornings, it's reserved for the Chris and Chris show. That's the YouTube exclusive. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Take care.